Have you ever wondered why some men seem completely unfazed by the emotional storms women can stir up, while others crumble at the first hint of coldness? You've probably seen it happen. One guy loses sleep because she didn't text back for 3 hours, while another simply glances at his phone, puts it down, and goes back to his life without a second thought. The difference isn't luck. It's not that one man just got lucky and found a woman who never plays games. It's that the strong man knows exactly what's happening, and more importantly, he knows how to handle it. Imagine you're dating someone new. Things start out warm, constant texting, playful teasing, genuine interest. Then, out of nowhere, the temperature drops. Her replies get shorter. She starts taking longer to respond. You can feel the shift, and suddenly, you're second-guessing everything. Did you say something wrong? Is she talking to someone else? You start chasing, over-explaining, giving her more attention in the hope she'll snap back to how she was before. That's where most men lose the game. They think more effort will pull her closer, when, in reality, it only confirms her control over you. Strong men handle this differently because they see the pattern for what it is, a power move. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's instinctive. Either way, it's a test. She's seeing how you react when she shifts the rhythm. Will you panic? Will you lean in harder, or will you stay centered, unshaken, and make her realize her absence doesn't rattle you? The weak man becomes predictable, pouring on more affection, trying to fix the vibe, surrendering control without realizing it. The strong man does the opposite. He pulls back just as she does, without hostility, without drama. His silence isn't punishment, it's proof he's not afraid to lose her. Here's where the tactical side kicks in. The next time you feel that sudden drop in warmth, resist the urge to close the gap. Don't send that long, "Hey, is everything okay?" message. Don't start guessing what she's feeling. Mirror her pace. If she takes 6 hours to reply, take 6 or even more. This isn't about pretending to be busy. It's about actually being busy with your own life. Fill your time with something she has no access to: work that challenges you, training that pushes you, friends who ground you. When she sees that her pullback doesn't control your emotional state, two things happen: her respect grows, and the balance shifts back to neutral. I remember a friend of mine, Mark, who dated a woman who was an expert at using attention as leverage. One week, she was all over him. The next, she'd vanish into vague excuses. Every time she went cold, Mark would bend over backward: surprise gifts, extra time, long emotional talks, and every time she became colder. I told him, next time she does this, don't move an inch. Let her feel the silence. It took him everything not to reach out, but he held the line. Within days, she was the one sending long messages, apologizing for being distant. Why? Because she realized her silence didn't dictate his worth or his mood. That's when she stopped playing that particular game with him. This is where weak men fall apart. They let her become the center of their emotional weather. Strong men set the climate themselves. They don't wait to see how she feels before deciding how they'll feel. They decide first. They understand that desire is a response to mystery, not a reward for persistence. When you overexpose your availability, you turn yourself into background noise. But when you maintain just enough distance to keep your identity intact, you force her to lean in to figure you out. It's not about manipulation, it's about refusing to play on a tilted field. If she's testing your emotional strength, show her you can hold your ground without resentment. No angry texts, no guilt trips, no "you've changed" speeches, just calm, measured space. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or vanish into passive-aggressive silence. It means you move forward at your own pace, letting her decide whether she wants to keep up. And if she doesn't, You've already shown yourself you can walk away without losing yourself. The truth is, modern dating is full of these quiet battles for control. Most men don't even realize they're in one until they've already surrendered. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the little pulls and pushes, the way tone shifts after you've given too much, the way attention is rationed out like currency. The strong man isn't immune to it, he just knows the price of overreacting, and he refuses to pay it. Have you ever caught yourself chasing harder the moment she pulled away? How did it end? What's the longest you've held your ground without breaking silence? Which part of this hits you hardest right now? There's a reason strong men don't panic when a woman starts to pull away. They've learned the difference between interest and investment. Interest is the spark at the beginning, the attraction, the I want to know more. Investment is the time, energy, and emotional weight a person is willing to put into building something with you. Weak men mistake interest for commitment. They think the early fire means she's already locked in, so when her energy shifts, they take it as betrayal. Strong men know better. They don't assume her warmth today guarantees her loyalty tomorrow. They watch to see what she actually invests over time. This is why they don't flinch when the honeymoon phase cools. They expect it. They know that's when her real behavior shows up, and they're patient enough to let it happen without rushing to force the connection back to its peak. Most men destroy themselves right here the moment they feel her interest dip. They try to save the relationship by giving more than they should. They buy gifts, over-plan dates, smother her with reassurance. They think they're securing the bond, but what they're really doing is proving they can't handle her natural ebb and flow without losing control. Strong men flip that dynamic. Instead of trying to reheat the connection, they step back and observe. Is she reaching out to you? Is she making time for you without prompting? Is she showing genuine curiosity about your life? If not, they don't chase her into giving those things, they let the absence speak for itself. This is where their power lies. When a woman sees that her effort matters more than her mood swings, she realizes she can't coast on charm alone. There's also something else strong men understand. Women often test a man's emotional discipline without even realizing they're doing it. These tests aren't always malicious, sometimes they're instinctive. A shift in tone, a sudden withdrawal, a small push to see if you'll lean in or stand firm. And here's the brutal truth: if you fail these early tests, you're setting the tone for the entire relationship. Fail once, and she may see you as pliable. Fail repeatedly, and she'll never see you as a man she has to earn. Let me give you a real example. I knew a guy named Alex who started dating a woman who was used to men folding the moment she hinted at disapproval. One night, she made a passive-aggressive comment about him going out with friends instead of spending the evening with her. Most guys would have defended themselves, over-explained, or cancelled their plans to keep the peace. Alex simply smiled and said, "I'll see you tomorrow." He didn't argue, didn't get defensive, didn't let her comment set the frame. She was visibly thrown off, not because he was cold, but because she realized he wouldn't bend his entire life around her whims. That's the essence of why strong men handle women differently. They refuse to be pulled into emotional reactivity. When she goes quiet, they don't fill the silence. When she throws a jab, they don't jab back. When she demands a reaction, they give her patience instead. And ironically, this calm detachment often reignites her curiosity. It makes her lean back in, because she wants to know what's going on in the space she can't control. Here's the tactical takeaway the next time she tests you, whether it's with distance, a sharp comment, or withholding affection. Slow down instead of speeding up. Breathe. Remind yourself that her mood doesn't define your reality. Then respond in a way that reflects self-respect, not fear. Sometimes that means saying less. Sometimes it means changing the subject. Sometimes it means letting the moment pass entirely. The key is that you never try to win her back with desperation. You let her decide whether to come back, while you keep living as if she might not, and you're okay with that. The cost of not learning this is high. I've watched men give up their friendships, their passions, even their careers trying to keep a woman's attention. And here's the cruel twist: the more they sacrifice, the less she values them. Why? Because their willingness to abandon themselves proves they were never that strong to begin with. A strong man is attractive not because he's unfeeling, but because his feelings never outweigh his standards. If you take nothing else from this, take this truth: a man who can stand calm in the face of emotional chaos is a man women remember. Whether she stays or leaves, she'll never forget that you were unshakable. That's the kind of presence that changes the entire dynamic of how women treat you. Have you ever cancelled something important just to avoid upsetting her? Did it work, or did it backfire? What's the toughest emotional test a woman's ever thrown at you if she pulled away today? Would you be able to hold your ground? Most men believe that to keep a woman's interest, they must constantly reassure her, entertain her, and adapt to her moods. Strong men know the truth. Attraction isn't built by compliance, it's built by polarity. Polarity is the tension between two people who respect each other's differences and boundaries. Remove the tension and you remove the spark. That's why a man who bends too much, too soon, becomes invisible to her. Not because she hates him, but because she no longer feels that pull toward him. Think about the last time you saw a woman truly intrigued by a man. Was it the guy who responded instantly to every text, agreed with every opinion, and cancelled his own plans at the drop of a hat? Or was it the man who made her laugh, challenged her thinking, kept his own life intact, and made her wonder just a little what he might be doing when he wasn't with her? Mystery doesn't mean playing games, it means keeping your sense of self so alive that she has to come closer to see it. The weak man gives himself away too fast. He lays out every thought, every feeling, every plan, and in doing so, he removes all curiosity. He thinks that transparency equals intimacy, but in reality, it's like revealing the ending of a movie before she's halfway through. The strong man reveals himself in layers. He lets her discover things over time. He knows that when everything is easy to get, it's easy to take for granted. This doesn't mean being closed off or cold. It means protecting the core of your life from being consumed by hers. Strong men don't abandon their passions, routines, and commitments just to make room for someone else. They invite her into their world, but they don't hand her the keys to run it. This keeps the balance of power healthy. She knows she's important, but she also knows she's not the sole center of his universe. That's where respect grows. One of the most dangerous mistakes a man can make is to let a woman's approval dictate his self-esteem. If your confidence rises and falls based on her mood, you've already lost control. Women can feel this dependency instantly, and once she knows her validation is your oxygen, she'll either lose attraction or start rationing it to see how far she can push you. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you've been seeing a woman for a few months, and she suddenly starts making subtle digs about your ambitions. You're still working on that project. When are you going to make real money? A man who's emotionally dependent will take this as a sign that he needs to prove himself, work longer hours, buy her something expensive, overcompensate. A strong man will smile and say, "I'm not here to convince you. You'll either get it or you won't." He won't argue, he won't justify, and most importantly, he won't change his life to earn her approval. That's the difference. And here's another thing strong men do differently. They test back, not in a childish, tit-for-tat way, but by observing how she behaves when she doesn't get her way. If she throws a tantrum over something small, they notice. If she respects his boundaries without drama, they notice that too. Because the strong man isn't just trying to win her, he's deciding whether she's worth letting into his life long term. The tactics here are simple, but not easy. Keep your routine sacred. Don't skip the gym because she called last minute. Don't cancel on friends for every spontaneous invitation. If you were working on a goal before you met her, keep working on it at the same pace. And if she ever tries to make you feel guilty for having a life outside of her, don't defend yourself, just continue living it. A man who protects his purpose is a man she'll either rise to meet or eventually leave. Either outcome is better than molding yourself into someone she can control. The cost of ignoring this is brutal. I've watched men slowly erase themselves in relationships, becoming a shadow of who they were when she first fell for them. They wake up one day realizing the hobbies are gone, the friendships are gone, and the drive is gone, and when she finally leaves, they have nothing left to fall back on. Strong men never let it get that far. They make sure that if she walks away, they're still standing exactly where they were, still whole, still themselves. Ask yourself this: if she pulled her attention away tomorrow, would your life still feel full? Have you ever lost yourself in a relationship and had to rebuild? What's one boundary you've let slide that you know you need to reinforce? Strong men also understand that the most dangerous trap in modern dating isn't heartbreak, it's subtle dependence. You don't notice it at first. It creeps in quietly, disguised as closeness. You start adjusting your schedule so you're always available when she calls. You start letting small slights slide because you don't want to make things complicated. You stop noticing that every compromise seems to go one way. By the time you realize it, you've built a life where her approval has the power to dictate your mood, your confidence, even your sense of identity. This is why strong men put boundaries in place early, not after a problem explodes. They know that once a pattern is set, it's hard to undo. They make it clear not through lectures, but through consistent action that their time, energy, and respect have limits. When she sees that there are lines she can't cross without consequences, she adjusts her behavior naturally. But when she senses there's no line at all, she'll test endlessly until there's nothing left of you to test. One of the most common forms of manipulation women use, sometimes consciously, sometimes instinctively, is attention withdrawal. She gives warmth, closeness, and connection for a while, then suddenly pulls it away. If you're not aware of the game, you'll chase. You'll try to re-earn what you think you lost. That's exactly where she gains the upper hand. Strong men never chase attention. They don't treat it like a gift. They treat it like a reflection of her current mood, which doesn't obligate them to do anything differently. Here's how that plays out in practice. Say she suddenly goes cold for a couple of days after being affectionate all week. Most men panic. They send multiple texts, ask if she's mad, try to create situations to reconnect. The strong man mirrors her energy. If she takes a day to respond, he takes a day. If she's short, he stays polite but keeps the interaction minimal, not to punish but to communicate, without words. I'm fine either way. And the key here is authenticity. He actually is fine either way because his happiness isn't dependent on her engagement. I once knew a guy named Chris who had mastered this. His girlfriend tried to use attention withdrawal to get him to cancel a guy's weekend. She gave him the cold shoulder for 2 days before the trip. Chris didn't bring it up, didn't argue, and didn't cancel. He went, enjoyed himself, and when he returned, she was warm and affectionate again. She never tried that move on him again. Why? Because she realized her silence didn't bend his reality. Strong men also don't get hooked by emotional bait. Maybe she makes a cutting comment, not directly insulting you, but hinting that you're not enough. Most men either argue back or try to prove themselves. The strong man smiles, changes the subject, or walks away from the conversation entirely. He knows that not all invitations to a fight are worth accepting. His refusal to engage isn't weakness, it's control. It's proof that he decides when and how he spends his emotional energy. And here's the part most men miss. Strong men don't just defend against manipulation, they actively test for it. They watch how she reacts to no. They notice whether she respects their time when they're unavailable. They pay attention to whether she supports their goals or tries to pull focus away from them. They aren't looking for perfection, but they are looking for patterns. If the patterns show selfishness, drama, or control, they step back early instead of waiting for things to get worse. From a tactical standpoint, this means you need to get comfortable with 3 things. First, delaying your response when emotions are high, hers or yours. Second, letting her experience the natural consequences of her behavior instead of rushing to smooth them over. Third, being willing to walk away, even when you don't feel like it, if you see a repeated pattern that violates your standards. The man who can do this doesn't need to make speeches about being alpha or in control. His actions make it obvious. He's unshaken by emotional swings, unmoved by guilt trips, and unaffected by the noise of modern dating games. And that, ironically, is what makes him magnetic, not just to her, but to everyone watching. Have you ever noticed a woman pull away just to see if you chase? How did you react? When was the last time you ignored emotional bait instead of taking it? If you had to walk away today, could you do it without hesitation? The final layer of how strong men handle women differently is this: they never let desire erase discernment. Most men, once they're attracted, stop evaluating. They focus on winning her over instead of watching how she shows up over time. The strong man stays observant. Even when the chemistry is strong, he can enjoy the connection while still asking himself, is she good for my life long term, or is she only exciting right now? This mindset keeps him from falling into the trap of overcommitment too soon. He doesn't rush exclusivity just because things feel intense. He doesn't promise a future based on a few good weeks. And because he's willing to walk away at any stage, he never feels trapped, which means he never behaves like a trapped man. Women feel that difference. A man who can leave at any moment without anger or resentment radiates a quiet strength that compliance can't match. One of the reasons this works is because it inverts the usual dynamic. Most women are used to being pursued relentlessly once they give a little attention. Strong men don't do that. They reciprocate, but they also measure. If she's showing consistent respect, curiosity, and effort, he leans in more. If she's inconsistent, he pulls back, not as punishment but as self-respect. This creates a natural filter. The women who can't handle healthy boundaries leave early, and the ones who can respect them stick around. It's not that strong men are cold. In fact, they can be incredibly warm and generous, but their generosity has conditions. They give fully to a woman who proves she values what she's given. They're not scared of intimacy. They're scared of wasting it on someone who sees it as leverage. This is why they don't tolerate manipulation disguised as romance, or tests disguised as just how I am. They call things what they are, not what they're sold as. Here's a real-world example. A man I know, David, started seeing a woman who would occasionally forget plans to see him, only to expect him to be available the next day. Most men in that position would complain but still show up when she called. David didn't. The first time it happened, he simply told her, I don't reschedule when I've been stood up. If you want to see me, you'll need to make the next plan. She was shocked and she adjusted, not because he threatened her, but because his boundaries were real and enforced without drama. From a tactical standpoint, this means you need to be willing to withhold access, your time, your energy, your attention when her actions don't match her words, not to play games, but to protect the standard of treatment you accept. The strongest men aren't the ones who can endure the most disrespect without breaking. They're the ones who never let it start in the first place. And there's another truth most men don't want to admit. If you need a woman to validate you in order to feel valuable, she will never truly respect you. Respect comes when she knows your worth doesn't depend on her opinion. It's when she realizes you'd rather be alone than be controlled. That's when she starts to meet you where you are instead of pulling you into her frame. The end result of living this way isn't a life without women. It's a life without the wrong women. It's a dating life where you're not constantly managing drama, defending your time, or questioning yourself. It's a relationship where her effort matches yours, where her respect deepens over time, and where your attraction is grounded in reality, not fantasy. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.